And this
What's he doing?
is to go even further beyond!
What's good, people? Agent Jules reporting for duty. Today we're talking about Wakfu, the French cartoon. And it is a good French cartoon. It is super cool, even though it is not super well known. But amongst its fans, it is quite beloved. I would dare say it is a cult classic. And so now is the time to discuss this cult classic and what exactly makes a cult classic, or at least what I think makes a cult classic. So without further ado, let's go ahead and buckle into our favorite planets, the world of 12. Let's go ahead and pal around with our buddies who can make portals and our friends who can shoot arrows and make plants grow. And our other friend who is apparently a reincarnated god. Let's go ahead and use that god power to smash the like button, and let's get talking about Wakfu. So, of course, the first thing we do here is talk about the Speedpaint. This particular character is Sir Percedal of Sadly Grove. At least that's the English translation. The original French translation, Sadly Grove, is... was it Trestapine? Oh, I'm so insensitive. Anyway, whatever you like to call him, I guess the nickname, the kind of universal nickname they refer to him as Dally, old Percedal. Anyway, this particular character is the reincarnation of a god. And so in the show, he gets really cool god powers. And when he manifests the god powers, he has this fiery orange glow. And I was thinking, like, that's basically Super Saiyan God from Dragon Ball Super specifically. So I decided, hey, let's draw him more like doing the Super Saiyan God transformation. So make his orange hair more of that fiery red. Draw that rockin' aura going on, and there you go. You have a good old Dally as a Super Saiyan God because he is basically a god. Wakfu. Wakfu is an MMORPG, I believe, which is interesting. I've never played the game. I know it as a TV show. It is a TV show about a plucky group of adventurers trying to save the world that they live in, the world of 12, I believe it's called, from various villains trying to do villainous things. The cast includes Yugo, the kid who can make portals and who is who's part of an extinct species known as the Eliotropes or something. Of course, it's pronounced differently with the French accent. You have Evangeline, who is an archer and can make magical arrows. You have Ruel, the old penny-pinching guy who loves money and has a shovel. It's basically a glaive, but they call it a shovel in the show. You got Princess Amalia, who's princess of her plant kingdom, and she can make plants and whatnot. You have Adamai, who's Yugo's brother and also a dragon, because apparently the Eliotropes have like a blood connection with dragons. Anyway, so these crew of youngsters, except Ruel because he's a geezer, these adventurers go out and do adventuring stuff. It's really great. What I really love is that each season is so vastly different from one another, but it still continues their story. It's kind of like... in fact, going back to the Dragon Ball Z comparison, it's like Dragon Ball Z had like a new villain they had to defeat. But unlike Dragon Ball Z, that felt like kind of like a power creep because Akira Toriyama is really known for kind of flying by the seat of his pants and he just makes it up as he goes along. Wakfu feels like there's actually kind of a plan that they're going. And each season, the stakes are raised, but things change and the characters grow and age and everything. In fact, in the later seasons... good old Dally Pants and Evangeline hook up and they have kids and their kids. You got Ellie, the daughter, the son whose name is escaping me. It'll probably flash here on the screen. They start joining the adventure too. So it's a pretty lovely thing. So what makes this show so great? What makes it such a great hallmark? Well, first of all, it is good. Okay. It's well written. The characters are great. The story is really engaging. It has that factor of having a world that people, and by people, I mean like me, want to like be a part of. So there's a really great feeling of like, how cool would it be if I was in the world of 12 and palling around with these idiots doing funny stuff. But I believe that it has another interesting factor kind of going for it that makes it special. And that special factor has to do with the fact that it's a French cartoon and not an American cartoon. This show, despite being kind of sort of a little more for kids, is kind of racy in some places, right? You'll notice that they tend to show off a lot of, how should we say, assets in the show, something that you really can't do these days in America. I mean, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, look no further than the change they made to Miss Keene of the original Powerpuff Girls versus the reboot Powerpuff Girls. Notice a difference there, buddy boo? One thing I've noticed about the French culture is that they're not so touchy about suggestive things as we are here in America. So they're willing to kind of make more suggestive jokes. And you're noticing I'm saying suggestive instead of another S word because that's how YouTube works, unfortunately. There are certain words that they'll downrank your video for. But anyway, this suggestiveness that I see a lot in Wakfu, I think it adds the extra spice to the to the show, and kind of makes it more fun and I guess, for lack of a better word, taboo to watch. I mean, it's not that bad in the grand scheme of things, but the fact that these kind of elements are here in a cartoon that otherwise feels more geared towards kids than it does adults is kind of a fun thing. It kind of shows what happens when you don't have any fear of the mainstream Hollywood elite zeitgeist when you're making stuff. You don't mind if you put in a couple of things that are a little more racy, a little more suggestive than usual. And I know I'm kind of pressing this point heavily. I don't want to make Wakfu seem like it's a show that's really raunchier than it really is. It's just the fact that it has it at all is kind of surprising and in a way refreshing. It's nice to watch something that isn't like, gripped so tightly by the current mainstream American zeitgeist. It's kind of nice to watch, see something break that mold. I would love to make something similar to Wakfu, something with its similar vibe, something that is similarly free from the constraints of said zeitgeist that I'm whining about. Obviously, being an American creator, I'm not gonna, fare as well with said zeitgeist, gripping down. But you know what? I'm gonna stick it to the man. That's a big reason why I'm such a big proponent of independent creation, is because it is our own special way of sticking it to the man. And who knows, maybe one day we can change the zeitgeist. I mean, that's how it works. All the greatest movements in human history come from the underground, right? It comes from a grassroots effort, and enough people get together, and eventually that becomes the status quo. And eventually that becomes, stodgy and rigid because it wants to retain its power. And eventually that will be overthrown by a new underground. And the cycle continues again and again and again. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Point is, Wakfu is this great little cult cartoon. It has a great following. It kind of plays by its own rules, which I admire. And I kind of hope to one day make something kind of sort of like it. But anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on Wakfu and why I believe it's such a stellar cult classic. Alrighty, it's time to wrap it up for today, so you people know what to do. If you like what you see and you want to see more, go ahead and tickle the algorithm button so you know what comes next and that you help the video in the algorithm. Also, go ahead and share the video and comment down below so you can spread the good word and give me some of your own good words. I would love to hear what you think about Wakfu or anything else that you'd like to talk about. And of course, if you wish to stalk me elsewhere on the interwebs, go ahead and hit up my links, with special attention, of course, to minds.com, where I post these videos, and I also post the finished product of these speed paints. And of course, I always love promoting social media diversity. And so, with all that said, I thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you all stick around. And until next time, deuces.